Alright Reds, Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here, and this is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp Therapy Online. Think back to when you first fell in love with sports. Was it scoring that goal in football, or maybe it was running faster, hitting harder, and playing smarter than you ever had before? As kids, every game was a new challenge, a new chance to learn and to grow. But what about as adults? Do we still push our limits, learn new strategies, or has the routine of life sidelined our passion? Just like a skilled football coach can transform a football team, therapy can re-energise and refocus your life's goals. Whether you're aiming to regain your former athletic glory or simply want to find joy in your weekend league, BetterHelp is here to support your mental fitness. With BetterHelp's online therapy, you're getting more than just advice. You're gaining strategies to manage stress, enhance focus, and set goals, just like in sports. It's convenient, flexible, and tailored to fit into your training schedule, however packed it might be. Signing up is as simple as lacing up your boots. Fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with one of over 5,000 therapists in the UK. And if you need to switch tactics, changing therapists is easy and free. Rediscover your passion for the game with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/index today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/index. It's time to play your best game yet. BetterHelp, because everyone deserves to be at the top of their game.
By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now. Bengals game day is so close, you can almost taste it. Bengals watching. Better with Pepsi.
I'm Carol from Sunbury, Ohio.
I'm a Republican, but I don't care who does the job as long as the job gets done. That's why I like Sherrod Brown. He stood up to both parties on China and worked with Republicans to fight fentanyl because Sherrod fights for Ohio. That's leadership.
Paid for by friends of Sherrod Brown.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett and with me to discuss another win for Liverpool, top of the Premier League at the international break, 9 wins out of 10 in all competitions. It's I've got the full team because it's such a happy occasion. So first of all, broadcasted live from his tropical island paradise, it's Dr. Phil Barter. Evening, Phil.
How we doing, boys? You all right?
You don't sound like a man who's just won 9 games out of 10 and top of the league.
I'm tired, Darth, honestly.
You got 3 hours extra. Happy. Yeah, it's almost bedtime for you, mate.
It is, mate. It is. I want the coffee now to keep up with you, boys.
Oof. Oh, okay. And you've got our sports resident sports writer at the Times. It's Hamzah. Evening, Hamzah.
Evening. Another win. But we're about.
You actually watched us in real time.
No, sort of. I watched the first half, and then I was at the Emirates, so I missed the second half, and I just watched that all back an hour ago. So.
Okay, so you watched the good stuff anyway, but they're all the best stuff anyway. Right? Yeah. And what was your thoughts on Arsenal Southampton this week?
Honestly, I actually felt a bit more heartened from a Liverpool perspective. I thought there were signs there that we could take Arsenal on at their place. Arsenal had dominated the first half without creating a lot of chances, but then when the game opened up, they battered Southampton. But
only once Gabriel Jesus went off.
Yeah, he was very poor. Havertz as a 9 offers quite a bit more. He doesn't have many shots, but he offers a lot more in build-up and getting more out of his teammates like Saka and Martinelli and Trossard. But yeah, I think there's a few things that Arsenal against the block is something they still haven't worked out, and I think they're actually behind City and maybe even us actually in trying to work out ways to break it down and block in open play. But that's their one big tactical question for the season. Otherwise, they're still very strong. But there's the moments there where I thought we can take heart from.
Good stuff. And last but not least, he's the reason you all listen to this show. He's had more clubs than Tiger Woods. It's Mr. Simon Brundish. Inside.
Evening, boys. Top of the league, going into the shitty international break. My wife just realised, she said to run on a walk, there's another one. There's another international break after this.
Right. Now, I know you went to Wembley. I know you went to the Spurs Stadium for the NFL on Sunday. And just as purely coincidentally, after you getting a Jets pass for the field, right, as you told us, their head coach gets sacked today. So, the Brundish tentacles run deep.
The other Salah.
They're not as quite as good, Salah.
Yeah. Well, the other Rodgers has an awful lot more power than our old Rodgers did.
Brendan, yeah, wow. Thoughts as member of Jets Nation? Are you happy with this move?
I like Salah. I don't think we have any evidence of him being an elite coach, and that's the plan. If they have any ideas of winning playoff games, you want your star quarterback who you've invested everything in to one, be able to stay on his feet and not get knocked flat 14 times a game by the offensive line. So you want some kind of head coach that can defend that. And
isn't he going to be? Is he going to be player coach now?
He already is. You might as well just give it him. That's what I reckon. Just give him.
Just say end the facade. Anyway, there's enough NFL stuff. Definitely. I'm going to the third one. That's Jags, I think.
Yeah, nice. I'm a slow burning closet Jags fan, just because they're here all the time.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Nice stuff. Anyway, there's enough NFL nonsense for you all. Right. Anyway, we are here to talk about Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 1. And before we get into the stats and stuff, so Si, let's walk us through that. Walk us through that Liverpool selection. That all important because it's a little bit different to what we were expecting.
Didn't we have 4 changes in this one? So
most of the season.
Yeah, it's the most in the league. Well, yeah. So if you just go league game to league game, it's the biggest turnover we've had this season. Most that's 2, and one of those was imposed. So first strategic rotation that we've seen, it all kind of makes sense. The lads that got left out, they were running a little bit hot, and yeah, I don't know. Like Jota had been out previous week, hadn't he? So Darwin was in. Yeah. So I'm not sure how strategic that was. That I would quite like to see them get a decent share each. So like 60-40. I don't mean in minutes. I mean like in playing time. Because for us to win the league, we need them both to be scoring goals.
Yeah.
And so if you allow one to get cold, you're screwed if one gets injured, and the one that's got the most minutes very often gets injured.
So across 10 games, have you got the total minutes for Jota and Nunes?
Just in the league. For Liverpool, you mean?
Yeah, just for Liverpool.
Liverpool minutes are Darwin's 335, Diogo's 648.
So it's a ratio more closer to 2-1 at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to make more 1.5 to 1 or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So a few more starts for Nunes maybe, and then
I would have one out of every 3 start and come on a sub because he's not coming on a sub quite as much.
Yeah, but I guess the big news, Si, was the first time he'd actually made a change to the midfield 3. He's tinkered with the attack, tinkered with the defence, but first time he's made a change to the midfield 3.
Yeah, bringing CJ in after Zobo is very obviously Zobo's by far the hardest working of the midfield, so he averages nearly 15% more high speed distance than either of the other 2 midfielders, which is just a significant toll. He's a beast. He probably can tolerate this, but why when you've got another lad who can do a decent enough job and he's fit, and you need them fit because also my feeling on this was the Max got 15,200 miles to do this week. To play 2 games at altitude.
How many? 15,000?
15,200 and 12 time zones. And Grav will be playing both these games as well. And Zobo plays all of his games because he's the star of his team.
Yes.
And really important games for the slightly lesser nations. Maybe it's going to be a little bit patronising to suggest that Hungary is a lesser nation, but they used to be a giant, but they don't qualify. So it's important that they do.
Yeah.
They're all in on these games, is what I'm saying. And CJ's not in the international squads. So it makes a ton of sense to get him minutes and give the others a little bit of time, because despite us being Liverpool fans and wanting Liverpool players to play Liverpool minutes, they still get tired playing in the other games too with a different shirt on.
As you always say, fatigue doesn't care what colour jersey you wear.
Exactly. So it was a smart move, and Robbo's in a similar situation in that he'll be playing every minute of his games.
Plus, Robbo's had a ton of injuries over the last 2.5, 3 seasons. Yeah,
he is aging. He's just aging, and I actually like what seems to be a little bit more trust in Simi than Klopp had.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I've never disliked Simi the way that some Liverpool fans do. Maybe they compared him to the absolute peak of Robbo, but I think for 3 years now, there's barely been anything between them.
Yeah, Robbo's definitely. But we discussed this in the pre-season. We think even last year Robbo's post-peak.
Yeah, sure.
And I think we said that, and we all agreed, maybe Hamzah wasn't on this one, that last season Simi's best was better than Robbo's best.
So on the ball, Simi's better.
Phil's making hand gestures here, saying it wasn't particularly close. Yeah.
No, I've just been Costas has done that, right? And Robbo's just come down to there. So they're now kind of roughly in the same zone. I don't think Costas has got any better or worse. He's just maintained his level. I've always thought he's been all right. It's just Robbo's effectively fallen off a cliff from his peak. So he's just probably just below or just above, depending on how fatigued he is from playing the minutes he has. So I think it's smart. I've been impressed by that.
And if we're going to invert our full not in the way that we were doing with Trent last season, not that stuff, but if they're making outside in runs, then you want the technical and we're building through the fullbacks in the half spaces sometimes. You want it. Simi is way more consistent in his distribution than Robbo is. He is technically more sound. You probably want, if you want to slot the ball in behind, I want Robbo doing that. I probably want Robbo's pressing. And maybe Robbo be chasing back rather than Simi. But technically, if you want to retain possession for a start, but also if you want them involved in the build phase, numbers-wise, they rarely compare. That Simi is just has 0.3 better XG build than Robbo does over the last 3 years.
Yep. Barts and Hamzah, thoughts on Palace? What were we expecting, and what did we go with? It seems to be the new guy is Arne is trying to drill the 3 at the back in the 3-4-3. Is that right?
I mean, Hamzah's probably watched them more than me, but yeah, that seems to be his go-to formation with two relative sitters and then players around. But I think the issue with that is always the spaces in between the wide players, and you either pull out your 2 centre halves, so you got massive channels between your 3 at the back, or the 3 at the back stay centrally orientated, and you've got big spaces in between being within the wide players, which traditionally Liverpool have always exploited with a front 3. And there's actually, the way we're set up now with almost 3 in between the lines and a 1, you can exploit that space even more, because you can potentially overload one side with 2 versus instead of 2 coming in, 1 central striker, another one joining from wide. So I think it allowed us, potentially we could have set up to exploit it more than we actually did. But I think some of the moves we'll talk about were exactly exploiting, stretching out one, planning space behind, stretching a centre half out and overloading the middle of the box. But it does seem to be what he's doing. He's got a way of playing. He's been there for end of last season. Was he there for a half season last season? Is that right?
Yeah, about half.
Yeah, so he's had a bit of time, but he's lost his key out there, hasn't he? So
Alisson, he's massive.
He's adapting to that.
Hamzah, have you seen much Palace this season? How close was this to their strongest 11?
I saw him in the first week of the season against Brentford. There's been a few tweaks made. So like last season, you already mentioned Eze and Elise, Mateta with the front three.
Yeah.
Under Hodgson, they'd already identified that they were going to play through Eze, so his sort of his involvement in the final third sort of jumped up. And that sort of remained under Glasner, even though he was moved slightly wide. So like he likes to come into the central area, dominate from there, sort of be the team sort of main man. But yeah, a few tweaks here. So usually Mateta starts, but they've signed Eddie Nketiah recently to get the nod in this match. And Salah was also starting as well. So a few tweaks there. I think we'll expect to see more of them over the course of the season. Mateta actually had a bit of a resurgence last season under Glasner. Historically, he's not been a high shot volume guy, but under Glasner last season, because they were playing a bit more sort of high pressing, they'd have transitions. He'd get the ball in situations where he could literally just get into the box, take a shot off quickly, and that's why he was scoring. They've struggled to get that right this season. But yeah, a few tweaks there, but they're set up with like a 5-4-2-1 or a 5-2-3. I think the idea there was to put Nketiah on Gravenberch and to screen the passes into him just to block out the middle. And then that, with the consequence of that being that Wharton and Lerma would follow up and apply pressure, with the idea to sort of dissuade Liverpool from playing through the centre and pushing to the wings. I think that's largely how the game sort of planned out. But yeah, that was my sort of initial reading of how they sort of set up.
Yeah, and I remember being very impressed with the whole front three at the end of last season, particularly Mateta, because he allowed the other two to play off him, and he had Eze being the carrier, Elise being the creator and the scorer. And Mateta was just on fire with his finishing. What do you think the rationale between Mateta versus Nketiah is in this selection?
I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. I think it might have been just to add a bit more directness and speed in behind. I mean, I think that pairs well with Salah. I wasn't too sure. I usually expect Mateta to play. There has been a little thing with Mateta this season in that he played at the Olympics, so he's been sort of...
Yeah, he scored 5 goals at the Olympics. I think he was top scorer.
Yeah, so his minutes haven't been as consistent as you would have expected if he came off a completely fresh free summer. But I was a little bit surprised that he didn't start. But then again, you're not going to start both of them against Liverpool just because of the balance of your team. I was a little bit surprised there, and I think maybe that just would have. Yeah, I'm not too certain from a Palace perspective why that was.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the new Prologue EV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha! This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, an Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah. Okay. But I think it was a factor in how the first hour of the game went anyway, myself, personally. But Bart, before we go into the match itself, let's talk about that stats pack, the match summary.
Of course. So we'll come on to a little bit of differences, but overall, 64-35 possession, touches 831 to us to 457 to them, which is a remarkable difference, to be honest with you, when we're away from home. 70-30 field tilt, total shots 16 to 9, on target 4 versus they have more on target than we did. They had 1 6-yard box shot to our 0. We had 8 in the penalty box though, which is good. Big chances 4 to 2, obviously 1 goal to 0, 1.4 xG to 0.66. APV 1.19 for us and 0.47 for them, and they actually converted more of their threat to XG. They got around 140%, so not at the magic 150 for conceding, but just below that. We didn't get we just below 120 for us. So you could say we were not fortunate, but we weren't at the rate you'd expect someone to score. And not near our highs of previous games. Pass completion just below 86% for us and around 70% for them. Breaking it, the sort of key periods for us, 31 to 45 and 61 to 75 is where we completely dominated them in terms of stats. And that's where our threat to XG really goes through the roof. And the first 15-minute period, we get around 100% threat to XG, but that's because we didn't do anything until the goal. So, you've got to take that into context. In terms of probabilities of outcome, 56% chance of a win for Liverpool in 1,000 sims, and 1-0 was the highest percentage scoreline to us at 17%. The next highest would have been 2-0 to us. So yeah, I think there's periods in there that would have that we can debate and discuss. I've also had a game state for you, Darth, as well this week.
Nice.
So it doesn't really matter too much because we spent the majority of the game winning the game. But yeah, it just breaks down the main stats, and that will come on to an international break. But yeah, it's interesting. The breaks at the half.
Which tab is the game state on, Barts?
Down the bottom of the match summary, right down the bottom above the plots. We allowed them to have more of the ball in the second half, but that's probably slightly us as the game pans out. The field tilt goes from 80-20 to 60-40 in the second half. So again, shows you they were coming into it, and their threat to XG went up to about 230 in that second half. So yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned the full match stats there. What was Palace's stats line for the full match in terms of shots, big chances, and shots on target?
They got 2 big chances. They got total of 9 shots.
So
they had on target 5.
Okay, so after the Mateta sub, they had 8 shots. So they had 8 of their 9 shots, 4 of their 5 shots on target, and both their big chances after the Mateta sub.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's a pretty key point.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Si, you talked about the change in personnel, 4 changes. Did it affect the way we played? And how did you see us at the start of the game?
I don't think so. I think we have to point out that the star of the game, I thought, was Cody Gakpo. Statistically, he did all of the stuff, the noticeable stuff in this game, in possession, out of possession.
Second pod in a row, we've talked about Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the threat thing. So, well, building through that, I thought the week on week, we started to form stories and patterns of how Slot wants us to play and how it relates to how it was before. And we had these very early narratives, but I'm not sure what is true, because it all depends on how the opposition set up and how we're going to problem solve around those. And I thought Palace did something different. There was I can't remember which team it was. Bournemouth or a beast. A couple of weeks ago we played, and they decided to allow our defenders to totally have the ball. It was Forest. And they did that. So last week I pointed out that Bologna pressed our nuts off, and Harry had the most progressive meters of anybody in the team and the most touches of anybody in the team, and that wasn't the case this. But it was Virgil, and we start and Hamzah talked last week about Virgil now being a playmaker, and he's got two really high quality big chances created this season so far in 7 games, which is he only had 2 all season last year. So we're starting to see the fruits of that, but allowing him the ball, and we're now making the choice really early. If we can get the ball to Virgil, let's do that. Whereas we were allowing the opposition in previous seasons to guide our possession towards the weaker centre back, and we're just taking advantage of them just not pressing us, and then Virgil's taking more time on the ball instead of making a pass to the side, which he was previously. He was, I think, for a season and a half, maybe while he was regaining himself from his injury, that he would defer a little bit. And now he feels like he's back to himself, and he's imperious, and he wants to be the dominant captain. So he's making much more incisive passes and not always deferring to whoever's alongside. And he had almost double the touches of Ibou. And
has that ever happened?
No, I'm looking through, and it's the highest difference I can.
So Virg had over 100, didn't he?
So we've seen it the opposite way round.
Yeah. Quite a lot, especially when Gomez was there. But so what did Virg had over 100 touches? Yes,
100. Yeah, Virg had 120, and Ibou had 66.
Wow! Imagine us getting Virg on the ball twice as much as Canati. That's brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And so Virgil managed. Virgil had 6 progressive passes, which is very nice, and Ibou dropped down to 1. So last weekend it was the other way around. Ibou was the progressive guy, and his progressive meters per touch. Virgil's was at 9 progressive meters per touch, and he averages 4.5 this season. So he was much more involved than this, and Palace were just basically letting him have the ball. And as Hamzah said, Nketiah was he was basically man marking grab. And if you remember, we talked about the Forest man marking grab. So they had Nketiah man marking grab, and they had who was their right winger, Salah, coming in on Mac. So
Virg was free.
Yeah. And then Eze was blocking the pass into Trent, so we couldn't get out with Trent easily. So Trent only had 86 touches, but Trent had something like 55 touches second half compared to first half. So he got more of the ball in the second half when Mateta came on and they changed how they faced us. So how we built up was different.
Yeah. For sure. But come to you just to elaborate on that. What did you see in how we? I thought we played an extremely good half of football. I would say, in my opinion, it was as close. I don't give 10 out of 10 for anything in life. Very, very rarely. Like Mo Salah versus Roma kind of thing. That was about one of the few times I've ever said that was a 10 out of 10 performance, right? But I thought we were pretty damn close to a 10 out of 10 in that first half.
I thought we started. We did start. So the first 5 minutes we were slower game. Like they had an offside goal. You know, there's still that first 5 minutes they had an opportunity.
I don't want to be trite, but maybe the opposition should try staying onside. People saying, Mark Herry and the Athletic was saying, is there a trend here? There's 3 offside goals against Liverpool. I was saying, opponents continue offside because of our offside trap. Maybe they should try staying on.
Yeah, they should try that. But no, I thought once you get past that again, our passing rate, our possession for that whole period was good. Just to back up what I was saying, if you look at the defensive action heats map, Virgil is literally on his own. There's hardly any actions anywhere near him for the whole of the first half. Whereas if you look at the pressure that Konate and Trent are under, they've got probably the same amount as Mac has got on the other side. So there's a clear pattern where they left him alone. But I thought the patterns, we ran the save move 3 times and only scored once, which was kind of annoying. And this goes back to size at preamble point. Costas punches that ball in behind for the goal. He does it again for another opportunity. Then we go the other side and we punch it in again, and Jota misses. Unfortunately, he misses two of the opportunities. But I thought it was a very good period for us. I thought we recycled possession well, even up with the pressure that Grab was under. I thought Mac and CJ were doing well in a little bit higher in this game. And again, their average possession shows that they're almost operating as a double 10 on the average position, and Jota's off to the left on average. But I mean, that's where it is. So yeah, apart from not taking those opportunities we did, I would suggest it was a good half. We completely shut them down in terms of what they can offer. So I thought
was the possession half time? It was close to 80%. Was it 80% of the ball?
First half. Let's have a look at that. Hang on. No, it's not. It's not as bad, not as much high as you want. I mean, first half possession was 66-83. So
okay. I was watching. I remember the graphics halfway through the first half. I was showing us on 80% of the ball.
Quite high, yeah. It's quite high. Then you got to remember towards the end of the half, though, when we talk about key moments, Addy pulls off an absolute worldie of a save deep into injury time. So we've had this period of probably 35, 40 minutes where we've scored, we've had 3 other big chances and not scored, pretty much kept them in their half for that period of time, playing some really good football. And then they have an opportunity. Mac doesn't quite get across to block the pass into the front line, and then he has to put off a worldie save. So for all of that good, could have been undone in a split second.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing when you've only got a 1-0 lead. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing with only 1-0 lead. And it's unfortunate because I think Jota, how many times have we said he doesn't do a lot apart from he scores those kind of goals. He just he didn't take one of the opportunities which were his type of chance. And
the header was actually easier, wasn't it? The header was easy.
Yeah, the header was easy. Van Dijk had a header as well. He probably should have scored better from. So I thought it was the long passes in the first half were less from Ali. Although interestingly, as we neared towards half time, we stopped playing goal kicks short and we went long, which I thought was an interesting change from us. Whether that was an in-game, I don't know why we decided to do that. But the last part, so once it ticked past 40, Ali wasn't buffering it short goal kick. He was going long. So there were some things in that. But no, I think I thought we played really, really well. We had some good patterns. The possession was good. The threat creation was good. And the XG was good for that period. We just unfortunately didn't score.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just to come back to you two before I go to Hamzah, on the pattern supply stuff, the switches, 6 switches, is that seems fairly high for a team number. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's a good number. One half.
We reached six this season yet?
Yeah, since the restructuring of the definition. So we used to have like 17. And they opted to change it to something else a season and a half ago. And so last season we averaged 2.4.
Wow, yeah, cool. Now, Hamzah, was a lot of tacticos on Sunday doing all the lovely coach's voice and stuff like that, talking about our build up and stuff like that. There was lots of suggestions that we flip the triangle to a 1-2 in midfield instead of more of a 4-3-3 rather than a 2-1. What did you see and what did you like about our performance with the ball?
First of all, I wouldn't go as far as you in saying that I thought it was like close to perfect. I think there was quite a few areas that could have been improved on. I thought the chance creation was good, but not like outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I think the execution on corners was quite poor. So I think there were 7 in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm right, yeah.
8.
Sorry. Yeah. And I don't think shot production from those corners was good enough. I think the delivery wasn't always great, but I think there's one Van Dijk header that I remember, and beyond that, I can't remember any other good chances from the corners, which isn't ideal. And and again, this is just a bit of context rather than a criticism. There were a lot of fouls, and I think you can probably get into the referee giving a lot of soft fouls, but that just disrupted the flow of the game and meant that it's just hard to get a full read of exactly how good the team were, because in the moments that it was semi-transitional or something might happen, there was a foul given, which means that everything that could have potentially followed didn't, because the game was stopped. But yeah, and to come back to your point, your original point on how the patterns changed in build-up, I think that was largely a consequence of the way that they pressed us and our response to that, because they covered the passes into Gravenberch quite well, and he was forced to come deep a few times. The option was to go out wide, where they had the wing-backs. You can isolate the wing-backs, and then you can use it by keeping our wingers wide, like Liverpool did for the goal, and then moving your fullbacks around, as Kostas Tsimikas does by coming inside to change the angle, open up the passing lane into to Gakpo. That stuff can work well. So I thought we worked the wide areas quite well, given that we weren't able to use a centre. But maybe I think we would have wanted to use a centre a bit more, even though they're blocking it out, and even though we were using the wide areas well, we wanted to access McAllister and Jones more than they probably were involved in the half spaces and combining with Jota than we did. I mean, like over the match, Salah's involvement was pretty limited in terms of touches. I think, again, that's probably something that we would have liked to see more of. I think Trent had 0.5 APV, which is good, but usually you expect to see him involved in build-up with a more sort of...
I love it how we're expecting more than half an EPV. That's the standards he's setting for himself.
But as in, you understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think there are a few things there that could have been improved on, but again, fairly solid base. But some of it was a response to the way that they played, and I think we weren't quite able to fully resolve that. In the second half, though, you saw straight away there were some coordinated movements, which I'm going to double check exactly who it was. Literally in the first minute of the second half, Gravenberch pulled deep, and Adam Wharton was following him at this point because Nketiah was already pressing. And the smart thing that Liverpool did there, because Gravenberch pulled out of the number 6 area, went short next to Konate, and Konate just saw that space was opening up in midfield because Gravenberch had moved Wharton away from it, and he just ran straight into it and then progressed the ball that way. That's a smart thing to do, and I think we did that in that specific instance, did that quite well, and I think Gravenberch did that on a few occasions in the second half as well, just moving from the number 6 area out, dragging the player with him, opening up the space and allowing the player on the ball to get into that area. I think that's about it. Yeah.
So just one other question on that one, Hamzah. As you mentioned that it was more of a product of what our midfield shape and our team shape was more of a product of how they were pressing us. Do you think this was specifically something that just the players adapted to themselves, being intelligent with the pitch, or do you think there was intervention immediately from the coaching staff to direct stuff? How did you see that?
I got the sense that it was the first. You may disagree, and also
no. I mean, I don't particularly have a strong opinion. I just want to know how you saw it.
I think it was more of the first than, and I think they were content to just use the wide areas rather than actively. I mean, there are a few moments as well where Van Dijk looks a bit sort of frustrated, where he sort of remonstrates with his teammates, saying, "There's nothing on for me directly, as in for vertical passes, ahead of me, in both the first and second half." But I think it was more so the players just working out where the spaces weren't playing to those.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.